Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Boy,
You
that
see
color.
me in that corner dancing away
I
beforehand.
did. I did. I was getting the
It just
vibe.
pumps me up.
It is fun.
It is.
That was one of my projects that I decided to delegate and realize that you and I are really, really busy coaching and we don't
Yes.
have to do it all.
Right.
Can you believe
Right.
it? We don't have to do it all.
What? What?
Delegation is
That's
really,
a.
really hard for me.
I love delegating.
I have trust
Good
issues
morning.
because nobody's going
Yes.
to do it like I do it, So I
Yes.
decided to hire somebody on Fiverr. Is that what you
Fiverr.
call it? Yeah,
Fiverr.
he was
Fiverr.
such a blessed gentleman.
Yes.
He just
Yes.
helped me so greatly and he created our intro. So thank
Yes.
you, Fiverr. And good
Yes.
job for delegating.
Good morning.
Morning,
Hello.
everybody.
Hello.
Oh, it's good
It's
to be
Monday.
here.
No, it's not Monday. What day is
No,
it?
it's Tuesday.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. Our
Huh?
podcast was released this morning.
Yay!
Halfway
Half
again.
of, again.
So yeah, every
Maybe
Tuesday
we
morning,
can encourage people to go to the other
Spotify.
podcasting, like
If you
Spotify.
if you want if you want consistent podcast release, you go to Spotify and you listen to
Spotify.
us over there.
Yeah.
Apple, I am ashamed. I'm just
Yes.
ashamed of them. They are very finicky on how they release our podcast, and it's
Yeah.
like they're the last house on the block when it comes to
Yeah.
Tuesday mornings. Really, really sad, Apple.
Hey,
I
are
have
we
converted
on?
my life to you.
Are we on Audible too?
We are
Because
on
I learned that
Audible.
Audible.
Yeah,
Okay,
we are.
go to Audible. I buy Audible because I have like 500 million different types of books I want to read.
Yeah.
But that's So Audible
Yeah.
is another one.
We are on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's released on YouTube. So yeah, definitely go and we're being told that people are really getting a lot out of our
That's awesome.
podcast. So yeah, we try to dig in, and on Thursdays, we do a Thursday encore, so we do post our live Thursdays. But this is much more relaxed. We have kind of
Yeah.
a formal setting when it comes to Tuesdays when we release. And today we released how to clean out your pantry. That was the one
Oh,
that came out today. So
yeah.
yeah,
That's
so go
exciting. That's a
over,
good one.
find us, and just know if you are an Apple listener, you're going to get it. It's just
Yes.
maybe tonight because Apple's a little slow. Who's in charge of Apple? Do we know?
I don't.
Can't blame Mark on that one,
It's
right?
not. No, it's not. Maybe it's Mr. Apple. I don't know.
Mr. Apple is
Mr.
really
Apple.
slow.
Or
really
Mrs.
slow.
Apple.
Could be.
Could be.
In this day and age,
But
Could
if
be.
it was Mrs. Apple, it would be on time.
No, it would be on time. Good morning,
I'm
everybody.
sorry,
Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Today, we're going to talk about something kind of important, a lot
Yeah,
important,
it
I
is.
think,
It is.
because we all have struggles with this. We all have struggles with cravings and with
Mhm.
triggers. So we're going to kind of break down what those things are. Hey, if you are watching us and could you help us out? I know I've been struggling on Facebook with a lovely algorithm. At some point, they didn't like something I said. I can't imagine. So I am on restriction. So the only way that this message will get out is if you share it. I know.
Yes.
It's my fault, Darcy. You
Well,
probably
no,
are
I
really
was pointing at
good.
our viewers.
Well, it is my fault because you're very nice.
I'm
I
nice.
have opinions, and apparently you offend somebody, they can
I
hit
do it in
block.
person, though.
You do it in person. Yeah.
And people
So,
in person.
If you could take a minute and like this post wherever you're watching, and let us know where you're watching from, because that also
Yes.
helps us to know how to grow this live coaching. Tell us where you're watching from. And if you could share this to your Facebook pages or wherever you're watching it from, that will really help our algorithm, help us
Yes.
grow, help us get our podcast out there. And so, yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. We go live every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we just talk. This is
Yeah.
a much more relaxed environment than our Tuesdays. So we're going to talk about cravings today. We all have them, and this is a really, really big struggle for a lot of people, especially for my addiction clients who, well, when I say especially for my addiction clients, 80%, the numbers are out there, 80% of us have some sort of food addiction to sugar or white stuff,
Yes.
right? when I say sugar addiction, that's talking about the carbs. That's talking about flours. Hey, by the way, can you give us some feedback on our sound? We're having some sound issues, not issues, but we don't know if it sounds right. So if you could let us know how the sound is coming through. Can you hear me? Can you hear Coach Darcy? Is one of us too loud? She's got a Superman microphone that
Well, here's the thing. God blessed me with this powerful voice.
Yes.
And they have to use a compressor at church.
Well, you got a guy to be able to train you. But see, you sound just fine in my ear. So I never know we have an issue until we hear it back. So
it's fine.
I've been told that they can't hear me. But I'm right here.
We'll get closer.
Up here. I'm right. Like I'm eating.
Well, good. Thank you.
You sound good
viewer that we don't know. I think
we don't know. Who are you?
I
wish it wouldn't do that. It just says Facebook user. I don't know who.
And it's probably because it's attached to my links.
Probably.
So that happens. It's okay. But we appreciate that you're here.
Yeah. So let's talk about cravings.
Yes.
Cravings and triggers. Those two things are very, very different. And so we want you to be able to, when you are going through the day and you're like, you have this overwhelming sensation of I got to eat something. We want you to be able to identify a craving and identify triggers, because if you identify them, what is the first thing, in AA? The first thing is admitting you have a problem. Well, that's completely different, right? But it's one of the first things of understanding how to react to a craving or a trigger is to understand why you're having it. What is it? Is it a craving or is it a trigger, right? And if it's a trigger, then you'll know how to kind of stop it before it happens. And this is going to help you on your weight loss journey. So let me start by giving the definition of a craving, okay? And then Darcy, you take it from there and you talk a little bit about your perspective of what cravings can contain. And then we're going to talk about how to manage cravings. Then we're going to open the box of triggers, okay?
All right.
So, definition of a craving. Food cravings are intense, specific desires for certain kinds of food, often not stemming from actual hunger. So, you're not really hungry when you're having a craving. They can be psychological, influenced by factors like stress, emotional states, or habits. And let me tell you, we live in an emotional world.
Yeah.
It's up and down. I mean, if you took the realm of emotions from the time you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, you have been all over the map when it comes to emotions. And so when you attach cravings to that, you got a hot mess. So what is your thoughts on cravings, Darce, when we open this box?
So the cravings can be, something that's very short-lived. It could be something that is, something that just doesn't go away. Those things that are just you're constantly thinking about.
Right.
Our mind is a very, very powerful thing. When I say that, it also is something that is like, if we don't have food, we're gonna die. Like if we don't have food in an hour, even though I ate an hour ago, if I don't have food, I'm gonna die. It just tells us these things. So those things can be, pretty tricky to kind of determine what is happening. But sometimes when those cravings last for days and days, like then, you've got to work on something. Yeah. You may have cravings for decades even, like meaning like you can have these, you're creating these what are those called?
Transmitters.
Transmitters. Those neurotransmitters that you've developed over the years, where those certain pathways that you constantly, run over. Yeah. Over and over. Before we were, went live, we were talking about, we'll go into this a little bit more, but the hormones, those pairing together, and that if you have a craving during the week, your PMS week, and you know that week is happening, and then you just feed it certain things, you're training your brain, you're going over that pathway over and over. And so when PMS happens, then it's like, oh, it's chocolate time.
Yeah.
Yes, we could have chocolate.
So like habits, you've habitually done that every month. Well, you had asked me something, and I think I answered you wrong, because we were talking before, because I never get to talk to you because we're always with clients. So we were talking, and I had 5 tabs open in my brain, and I think I answered you wrong because you asked if it was a physical thing. And I do believe it is, because our bodies, especially during that time of the month, right before the period when the progesterone is being built and those hormones are being built. And we were asked to do a podcast on hormones and eating, and we will do that.
Yes.
We get nervous because we got to go into the science world, when we do that. But there is a physical reaction in our bodies that our body is trying to build progesterone, which is the I'm okay hormone. And the I'm okay hormone needs to be fed by something that makes it feel okay and calms it. And there's you and I took a class yesterday about dopamine, serotonin, and what's the other one? Dopamine, serotonin. I've got it in my notes.
Oxytocin, endorphins,
oxytocin. And so the dopamine is, the reward portion. Yeah. The serotonin is the mood stabilizer. And there are certain foods that will boost those neurotransmitters and serotonin. Like that's why people drink warm milk. That's why they eat bread. So there's certain foods that go along with that. Our bodies know that. And so, those two married. So yeah, it is actually a physical thing. Yeah. And when we have clients who are craving chocolate, sometimes they're lacking magnesium. So yes, there are physical reasons why those cravings happen.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Toby says, I've been finding recently that when I'm craving something while shopping, I immediately regret it when I get home and actually have it. So you have just led us into our next topic.
Yes,
called
you did.
Triggers. It's always more disappointing than in reality than it was in our mind. So we've built it up because we've had that craving. We nurse it. We cuddle it. What's that little cartoon? Toby is way too young for this cartoon where I squish it, I stroke it. Yeah.
Where's that Tommy Boy?
I think it was Tommy Boy. No, it was a cartoon. It was
the red Yeti guy.
Yes, totally. So the craving is a lot bigger in our minds, but it is triggered. It is absolutely triggered by those things, as well as when you're at the grocery store, those end caps, that's why they pay more to have their stuff brightly colored on those. So that...
any more on that side? It's like, because modern and plain and no color is the trend. So if I think that's the other thing. Like they're trying to make it simple and
it's marketing. Yes. It's totally marketing because they want to like explode this next topic, and we're going to come back to managing the cravings because I think that was a really good transition over to the food triggers. Food triggers are specific stimuli or situations that prompt a person to eat even if they're not hungry. So these can be emotional, like stress or sadness, environmental, seeing or smelling food, or social. So it's a body, mind, and spirit thing. So what Toby's talking about is the grocery store, those triggers that, oh my gosh, my brain sees this beautifully packaged. One of the most struggle times we have as coaches is Valentine's Day and Easter because of those brightly colored packages in those Easter candies and the Valentine's Day candies. Those are called triggers. And once you release a trigger, that's all your mind thinks of, and it just feeds. It feeds that food craving. So it could start with a craving or it could start with a trigger. In my case, my cravings usually start with a trigger. I haven't even thought about anything until I see that beautifully. Oh my gosh, truly, this happened to me at Walmart the other day. My kryptonite is jelly beans. You can have all the chocolate. I do not like chocolate.
I don't either.
I hate chocolate. I saw it was a generic bag. So it wasn't even the Jelly Bellies. It was a generic bag of these big.
It's making me saliva.
I know. Wipe my mouth off. It was the jelly beans.
Salivate, that's the word.
And that has literally all. I have not had a jelly bean in 7 years. I have not had sugar in 7 years. That is all I have thought about because it was at the end cap of the Walmart shopping center, and all I saw were those jelly beans. Didn't see anything around it. That's all I've thought about. That was a trigger for me. Can you talk about some of the triggers that you have, Darcy? Some of the things that may not even be physical triggers.
I this is a terrible one. But I have a thing where I can't handle people. Like I can't handle the sound of munching. Like I understand Like, I understand the whole like dinner music, but it's more of like the slosh that grosses me out. Like, there's like, you hear that. But if there's this crunch, so last night we were at a women's thing, and they had the caramelized popcorn with white chocolate and all the fun stuff. It was very Eastery.
Yeah.
And they were just crunching. They had no cares in the world. And they eat this, and the sound of that like made me like, okay, these women can just go up here and then just eat these
so the sound of crunching, the sound of it, trigger for you.
It was, which has never truly been an issue until last night. And I was like, and it could have been the fact because I didn't have a very great dinner before I left.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like picking out what was there. So there were a lot of vegetables, a lot of like the dips, things like that.
Yeah.
But they had the things that I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to make sure before I go anywhere anymore. I didn't think this was an issue.
Yeah.
So that's a simple one. It's just some certain silly triggers that will sneak up on you.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're in a group setting and you have, you know, people, you know, sharing this piece, like, hey, taste this pie. And so you know, you're gonna
social
triggers. Very social triggers.
Yeah. Well, there are 4 types of triggers that we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
And for you, that's on the second page of your notes there. If you see us looking down, we are used to cutting podcasts now where we can look at our notes. And
because we're so professional.
That's why our podcasts are much more professional than live because you don't see us looking at our notes. But we're going to look at our notes because we want you to have the data, right? So the 4 types of triggers. Triggers are things you encounter right around your little world that bring up cravings. So triggers are first, they're followed by cravings, okay? So once you identify the triggers, you can stop the cravings, okay? And there's things that we're going to do to talk about how to get rid of these triggers because triggers are not great for a weight loss journey.
Right.
They're just really not. The first one's called the pattern triggers. So these are situations, events, or times that call up your desire for more food. So what you were at last night was a situation. That was an event that you were at that is like, okay, I'm connecting that physical hearing of the crunching to this wonderful time with these other women at this beautiful event. I haven't had any food, haven't had the food that I needed. And so that was a pattern trigger, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk about the next one?
Well, then we also have social triggers. A specific person or group of people that you may have that may have been eaten with, like that you're eating with, social gathering. That's basically,
Well, and that brings up the FOMO, So along with, being there with your friends, not necessarily thinking about your own personal weight loss journey, just kind of going along with the flow, hearing all the crunches, seeing all of the, the wonderful popcorn that was around you, brings up a social trigger. And you don't want to look different than everyone else. You want to fit in. It's like we're in kindergarten again. We never left kindergarten. When it comes to, being healthy and leading a really, really healthy life, we never left kindergarten, really. Emotional triggers are really tough. Certain emotions such as happiness, sadness, that make you want to eat. Those things are not necessarily like emotional eating. You've heard us talking about emotional eating. Some of these things are neutral. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just realistic, right? Emotion. Yeah. Some people eat when they're happy. Some people eat when they're sad. Some people eat, because they're stressed.
Angry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is a really, really big trigger. You want to talk about the last one?
So the withdrawal triggers, the physical responses from your body that triggers a craving.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Our clients experience this the first 2 weeks of our program.
Yes.
It
is ugly. Like it's ugly.
It is ugly.
That's where the anger eating comes in.
Yeah, truly. Yeah,
because
truly.
You don't realize how not addicted, but how used to you are that you are, grabbing these things whenever you want.
Yeah.
And
how many times you've been so angry, in the afternoon, like your boss just ticks you off. You're so angry and I know. It worries me about you a lot of times. And you're like, if I just picked up a Snickers bar, I would feel better. And you literally will physically feel better for about 5 minutes.
5 seconds. Oh, mine's 5 seconds.
5 seconds. You'll feel better.
Yes.
Food has that natural, powerful capability to make you feel better. And so that those triggers are brought on because it knows if it triggers you, you're going to give in and you're going to cave into it.
It's like a Band-Aid. Like, what does a Band-Aid actually do when you get a cut? Like, it's just, stopping the blood for a minute. But it's not healing it.
Right.
Like, that's not its purpose.
Right.
I mean, it's just making sure that you are not, getting something like reopening it or, it's a little protector, but that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So if you're listening to this, put in the comment section, wherever you're listening, put in the comment section, what triggers do you fall prey to the most? And it could be something that we've not talked about. You may have a brand new trigger that will blow our minds.
I challenge you.
Yeah. What triggers do you most fall prey to when it comes to this? And we're going to talk about how to stop these triggers, because when we have a client fall off the wagon and head down the wrong path when it comes to their health, it's usually started with a trigger followed by a craving.
Yeah.
Cravings can come first, but usually there's some kind of trigger that brought on that craving. So one of the first things you do when you want to get control over those triggers is you've got to identify it. You've got to identify it. If you don't know what it is that has triggered you and you don't have this first instinctual, what just brought that on, you're going to fall prey to the cravings. Okay. So Take it, Doris. Goodness gracious.
Sorry, I was waiting for you to finish your sentence.
Excuse me.
So identifying and avoiding those triggers from certain environments that you are, preparing strategies for them. A lot of prepping. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of prepping when it comes to this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be one of those, this is just going to come easy and I'm going to be able to enter into this situation or this space unprepared, but being prepared is very important.
Right. And you may have to stay away from that. If you are triggered by walking into Hacienda because of the chips and salsa, speaking of crunching, that is a crazy way that our clients fall. The minute they walk into Hacienda and they hear that crunching, they don't even want the
smell. It's not the smell because they smell disgusting. Right. Have you ever actually smelled a tortilla chip?
No, I'm going to have to.
It's not great.
Yeah. And so I've had people who are like, I can't even go to Hacienda because I'm going to walk in and that's all I'm going to hear is that crunching.
Yeah.
So if they can go into the restaurant, there's a lot of times that people are like, yeah, I can do that, but I'm going to bring my own, I'm going to bring my whisks with me so that I don't get distracted by the crunching. Yeah. So, which brings our next one, distractions that don't involve food. So when you are in a situation, like Barb says down there, the mention of food that I really enjoy can be a trigger, right? Mm-hmm. So when someone mentions that food that is triggering you, that's when you get up from wherever you are. If you're sitting at your office desk at work, you get up, you walk around the building if you're allowed to. You walk around the building, you go outside, you breathe in the air, you get some vitamin D, and you take yourself away from that situation. By the time that you have done that, typically that craving and that trigger is gone and the craving is no longer there once you give yourself some space. So walking, meditation, journaling, if you can't get up from your seat.
Right.
Goodness.
And in that case, if you can't, and it is good to create a supportive environment. Mm-hmm. And this kind of goes pairs with some of our other lists down here. But, creating a supportive environment, meaning, having people around you in your life that understand what you're doing, will hold you accountable, that will even do this with you. Like Mark and I did this together. Yeah. We did this as a team, and I know not everybody has that, but you've got to create an environment like that. Do not do this by yourself because, like I said, your mind is a super powerful thing, and you can talk yourself out of something in 5 seconds?
Well, they say 7, but I think it's 5.
I think it's less
2.
than that.
Yeah.
I can look at it and be like, nope.
No, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Well, and when we have a new client start, we don't even start them on their food plan until they have gone through a process of declaring what day they're going to start, preparing themselves for it. Number one, clearing it with their doctor, preparing themselves, and then having the hard conversation with their family. You have got to tell your family what you're doing. You have got to get the support of your family. And unfortunately, many of our clients have enablers in their life that don't want them to succeed. But that does not mean they should not prepare their family for this. Right. So, creating this environment of success around you starts you out on the right path. That way, when your hubby, if you've agreed and used your words and say, hey, when I do this, could you do this? Number one, don't bite his head off when he does that. And he says, hey, do you want to eat that? Don't bite his head off, because he will not tell you again. No. So creating a safe space for your family in order to speak life into you is of utmost importance. But just preparing people around you, preparing your workspace. And this, my friends, does not mean go try to make converts of your office. No, does not mean that. No. It just means allowing them to speak into your life and saying, for right now, this is what I'm choosing to do. Don't try to make converts. You'll make frenemies then if you do that. We're not converting people. We're just asking them to give you a safe space.
Yeah. And a lot of times those people that are concerned about your health, there's some certain things, yes, people should be concerned about your health if you're like starving yourself.
Right.
But just not feeling like you have to explain yourself. You know that you're in a safe zone, that you are, especially if you have a coach like us, you know that you're doing the right things. You don't have to worry about what other people are saying. Right. You don't say, oh, I know I know somebody that did keto and they ended up in the hospital and died.
Oh, yeah.
There was another problem with that.
Or those blessed people in your life who say, oh, this is keto. You can eat this. This is keto. And you're eating wheat. And there's so many things. Yeah. When we say create a safe space in your family, that's just have the hard conversation. Listen, I'm in charge. This is what I'm choosing to do. This is what it looks like for me. And thank you so much for supporting me. Yeah. If you don't remember your why, you're going to fall for every trigger. Again, you're walking down that grocery aisle and those things bite you. They scream from the shelves. You need to buy me. I'm really, really good. If you don't have your why, listen, I don't want to get type 2 diabetes. I want to heal my PCOS. I want to lose weight. If you don't have your why down pat, you are going to fall for every trick those marketers throw at you.
And you may not have a solid why at first, but you want to live off of that why until you gain other whys. Yeah. For me, during my journey, I did not have, I had like my kids that's a good why. Yeah. And my husband, but over the times, while I was losing the weight, then more whys were starting to surface. Yeah. Of like, I don't have to feel like my legs are chafing every time I go out for a walk. I don't have to, I don't have to wear jeans every single summer because I'm disappointed of what my legs look like. Things like that. Yeah. Those are some good whys that you can hold on to. I don't have to be on medication. Right. That I had to be on, a month ago.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. Remember your why. Yeah. And we get a lot of grief for this next one on positive affirmations from particularly the religious crowd. At least in my life, the religious crowd loves to.
You got some weird religious people.
I do have some weird religious people. But positive affirmations. If you don't have if you're not able to say something nice about yourself, if you're not able to say, you know what, I am enough for this. I believe that I am good enough for this. If you can't do that, we have so many clients who don't believe in themselves enough. And what you say is true. If you believe you're not enough, if you believe you're going to fail, guess what? You're going to fail. But if you start saying things out loud, positive things about yourself, you know what? One morning you're going to wake up and you're going to actually believe it. And you're going to do it. And so I don't agree with those people who say we have to live in this, sad life all the time and these negative things and we're not enough. And I don't agree with all that. Mm-mm. You really do. You need to start saying and announcing to the enemy, for the religious people, announcing to the enemy who you are. No. I am enough. I can do this.
Yeah, and when you use power words.
If you use your power words, you're going to find a lifestyle change. You're going to find these triggers. We could see how many people are watching, and we just lost like 10 people. When you start talking about the religious. Oh dear.
Oh man.
That was a squirrel. We just lost like instantly. The religious people are gone.
Just so you know, you are enough. I will say that. Maybe you can come back, and maybe they don't believe it yet. But
that's right. They'll be back. They'll be back. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Wow.
That was probably a coincidence.
Hopefully.
I am one of the religious people. I am.
Yeah,
So it is what it is. Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about box breathing. This is a really good tool that we use to get through some triggers sometimes.
Yes. So, and this is also
bring the religious people back. Bring them back.
Come on, box breathing. And they might not come back if we talk about box breathing. So anyway, so box breathing is a great way to basically, this is going to sound really hokey, but center your mind where you're focused on your breathing, and you're focused on something that where you breathe in 4 seconds, 4 seconds, just and like a square. Hold it for 4 seconds, and then you're just doing this 4 different times, making a box. And you're gonna, if that didn't work the first time, make several boxes. Yeah. I also
putting oxygen to your brain. Yeah, I mean, it's scientifically doing something to your brain.
It's slowing down your heart rate, because your heart rate's like super tense right now. And this is what is beneficial. If you can't sleep at night, this is what I do. I do a similar thing to box breathing, but I take the deepest breath in possible, where my lungs are so full of air. I hold it as long as I can, which is about 20 seconds. And then you slowly release that. That is slowing down your heart rate, allowing you to then get a good, like, you're going to fall asleep, and you're like, this isn't working. But then the next day, you know that, that I actually fell asleep.
So you don't count sheep. You do box breathing.
You do box breathing or breathing.
I could never count sheep because they were so messy. I mean, I ended up cleaning their stalls. They were just so messy, and they were loud.
Shave their,
They were loud. I could never count sheep, but box breathing, Yeah. Another way to stop cravings is to join a group. That's to get a coach and to join a group. You missed our group last night. I just get so filled by what these people bring to group. The weight loss group, the support group, the coaching, all of that helps people talk it through. Talk through, hey, I really struggled here. I struggled, going to the grocery store. I struggled with the smell. I had to go out, I had to go to Starbucks with my friend, and she got this really floofy drink. I used to love those, and it just really messed with my head. Support and coaching are just invaluable. I never realized how until I'm watching the journey of our clients, and I'm just like, this is why we do what we do, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You want to talk about rewarding ourselves?
So rewarding ourselves can be beneficial, where, let's not reward ourselves with food. Like, you get to a certain achievement in your own personal goal.Maybe it's a small victory. Maybe it's a milestone, but whichever it is, reward yourself with something that will be like, I did that. I did it. And be proud of yourself. That's where, we talk about the positive affirmations. Like, not only are you able to give yourself a compliment, but you're able to reward yourself with something amazing because you achieved that.
You did. It's a big accomplishment.
It is. Don't reward yourself with food. No. Don't do that. That's making a new neurotransmitter pathway that you don't want to create. Make a happier memory. If it is, going to get your nails done or pedicure, guys can go get pedicures too.
They can.
Like, do all that. Pamper yourself. Get a facial. Get yourself that shirt that you've been eyeballing that now fits. Things like that.
Yeah.
Just don't reward yourself with food.
Right. One of the things that we like to talk about as well is cravings are sometimes like the beach, like waves in the ocean. They rise, they peak, and then they fall. Oh, look at that. Waves.
You so did that on purpose. Your wave.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. This podcast or this live has been a train wreck. I just want to tell you.
It's fine. This is just fine. time.
It is, but they really are. Those cravings last for about 10 to 15 minutes. So if you can get past that craving, and if you can put these things in practice, and you can do these things that will stop the craving. If you last over, if you make it to 10 to 15 minutes, typically that craving is gone. Okay. Yeah. And it will pass. This too shall pass. All right. And finding healthy alternatives that will satisfy your craving without derailing it. So if you're craving, some crazy chocolate because it's that time of the month, don't withhold it from yourself. There are things like Lily's chocolate. Go get those Lily's chocolate, put it in your macros. You're not doing anything off plan. And so try to replace those things. Replace the Hacienda chips, replace those with Wisps or with, the keto friendly, the Whole Foods, the Crunch. It's the Crunch we're missing, right?
It's more of it's action. Yeah. A lot of times it's also, you could be lack of salt. Pink Himalayan salt is a great alternative to those cravings. I put those underneath my tongue when I am I can't stop. If I didn't have, last night, I did not have an adequate amount of food for my dinner. It was really Mod Podge, here and there's. Putting those salt underneath my tongue, it triggered those happy hormones in my brain. If, for example, I like to use the whole, people, you might not like pistachios, but pistachios taste amazing with salt on them. If you have the pistachios that don't have the salt on them, you're not going to be eating as much of them, as the ones with the salt or craving them. So it is, a lot of it is your body craving that sodium.
Right. And with the pistachios, some of the triggers and some of the cravings come with the work. So if you get the kinds with the shell on them, you are opening the shell and you are taking time to kind of go through that process, and then you're eating the salty pistachios. So
so it takes time.
Cindy Solomon, I found this quote yesterday, and I just thought it was really powerful. I don't know who Cindy Solomon is, but I loved her quote and I want to give her credit. But she said, abstaining from trigger foods is not a diet or a punishment, but a way of life that allows food addicts in recovery to enjoy food as nourishment and pleasure, not as an escape or trap. And so many times we use food as an escape. We use those triggers. If I could just go experience, this donut, I'm going to escape the stress that is at home. And so by abstaining from that, it's not a punishment. It is just, it's a way to, to heal and to recover. And so, so that's a little bit about, Darce, can you talk, I don't think we talked about some triggered foods. Can you talk a little bit about the kinds of foods and scenarios that people are triggered by?
Yeah, so they are often triggered by things like fast food, sweet foods, we mentioned earlier, the salty foods even though our body's still craving it, you don't have to have the food and the salt together. The junk foods, let's just say the processed foods. Let's lump this together. Refined processed foods is usually that trigger.
Yeah, and sometimes that food so here's a funny example, and I hope I'm not going to mention any names, but I have a client who for example, you can go on keto, you can go to McDonald's, no problem. Yeah. Is it the best food? Nope. Probably not, but you can be on keto and go through the drive-thru. You can go to McDonald's. I had a client whose trigger was not the food, so she could eat McDonald's food just fine. What she could not do was go through the drive-thru. The drive-thru was her trigger. So she's missing out on some food, right? She's missing out. She's having some FOMO because she wants to go spend time with her daughter, and she can't go. And I'm like, why can't you? Why can't you go? You can go to McDonald's. Here's what I want you to get when you go there. May cost you a little bit extra because we're going to order an extra side of bacon, right? Yeah. So here's what I want you to get. So she goes, she does everything I tell her to, and she falls off the wagon. She ended up eating all of the French fries, all of the not good stuff. Well, the problem was her trigger started when she announced what she wanted in the drive-thru. And when she got to that window, that was her trigger. made her fall. So basically what I did, it was like I sent an alcoholic to a bar and said, go hold my beer. That's what I did to this client.
Right.
What she can do. And so we revamped her plan. What she can do is I said, okay, there's no drive-through for you. What I want you to do is I want you to park the car. I want you to walk into the restaurant, and this is what I want you to order. Completely fine. For her, the trigger food was not the trigger food. It was the drive-through. So that's why it is so important for you to understand your triggers are not what your neighbors are, not what your husband's are.
We're not the same. No.
Could be different places. It could be different things.
Yep. What about vacations?
Oh, talk about it.
So vacations is usually the place where you have no care in the world.
Yeah.
You go and get those food drinks. You want to have those experiences. Mm-hmm. You want to go to that ice cream shop that you always go to every single time you go there. It's a revisited place that you have built up these traditions with your family. Mm-hmm. And it's bizarre because it's not only just vacations, but it's family gatherings. We build up these traditions around food.
Yes.
Memories around food. Mm-hmm. And my question is, why is that? Why do we build up our family traditions and memories around food and what we eat? Why can't it be something else? So I would just say, encourage you, when you go to vacations, that is not an opportunity for you to be like, diet out the window, or if you're on a diet, or keto out the window, or because you're going to spend this whole entire week, not with a care in the world, which is cool. You can do that with your family, but do something different by adding a different type of memory, by, going to a national park and walking and creating this memory, doing, something that's not about food. So those are the things. It's not an escape to just, go and binge eat whatever the heck
minimum, know what you can eat on a vacation.
Yes.
And that's what makes me absolutely crazy. We have a soapbox. Actually, I think I already used it because we got rid of our audience.
I didn't get this, though. You
didn't
pull it out.
No. Number one, tell yourself you're enough. Number two, but that's what makes me mad watching these GLP-1 websites, these support groups. Number one, it makes me mad watching them throwing up every day, and doing all of that. But one of the things, the most common posts that I see is, I want to go on vacation and binge and do and live and eat all of the things. So can I stop my GLP-1 shot before, so I'm not throwing up? Because the point is they want to get rid of the throwing up part of it. And they want to enjoy themselves, but then they want to overindulge and they want to eat and binge and gorge. And I'm like, no, that's not what we do. That is not. We need to learn to love this lifestyle so much that we're replacing those things that we don't even know. We don't even know. We're not going to be perfect on vacation, right?
Yeah.
I eat
sugar. The 80-20.
Yeah. I eat sugar-free ice cream on vacation. When I go to Florida and I'm with my daughter on the beach and we have a little ice cream parlor there, I'm not eating sugar ice cream, but I'm eating sugar-free ice cream. And I know that there's crap in that sugar-free ice cream. I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm not going to binge and I'm not going to overindulge. Exactly. So triggers and cravings, the best advice that we have for you today is you have to know what they are. What is triggering you? What, and that I giggle because that's kind of the word of this generation is I'm triggered, but that is so real. It's so true. You are triggered. And so if you know your triggers, you're able to stop them. Mm-hmm. And then not only stop them, but figure out, because we're all about living life to the fullest, figure out how you can replace those triggers with something that is good for you and wholesome for you.
And if you're anything like I was when I first started, thinking that I was not an emotional eater, like for some reason I had that in my head that like there's nothing wrong with me emotionally. I'm not sad and I don't go find food. Listen. I challenge you. This is my challenge for this week. If you don't think that you have any triggers, maybe even next week, like give it 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This is like our detox this is free coaching for you.
Yes.
If you want to see, if you are challenged with this project that we're going to assign you, take away the sugars and the oils and for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The carbs. like not carbs, like breads, like things like that. Don't take away carbs. Nothing sweet to the mouth for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then come back and tell us how you're doing.
Email us.
Let us know.
Darcy at ketomomcoaching.com. Monica at ketomomcoaching.com. Tell us.
I saw that.
Let us know. What are your triggers? What are your triggers? And then how do you stop them?
And summer's coming up, y'all. So you're going to have news. So, like once you think the one season's over, like the holiday season, you've got a whole new set of seasons that are coming up.
Summer, like spring, bikini season is here.
Yeah.
I saw this meme that's going around the internet. It said, we warned you summer season's coming and you kept eating.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Based on what our picture coloring looks like, I was okay with you looking all pasty, but now I look pasty, so it makes me think I need to see the sun.
Yeah. Oh, we do. We truly need to see the sun.
I need the sun. But yeah, I want you to take that challenge. Do the 2 weeks of detoxing. Yeah. Nothing, absolutely nothing sweet to the mouth. And even why not add the oils to there? You know, why no seed oils? Like if it's not a healthy oil, then like don't take it.
Do it. We dare you.
Yeah,
we dare you.
I would dare you.
You're gonna be thinking pretty clearly in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's our show. There's our show. And you know what, Coach Darcy, you are enough.
Oh, you are enough too.
You are.
Hey, if you haven't read the book Power of Change, is that what it's called? I was just what's
that
his
the
quote?
One with the mind
it's the pastor from Life Church.
Yes, Power of Change. What is it?
And he says he has a quote it's right back here and I don't want to get
religious. He's religious and he says that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So we're good.
The Power of Change is like there is a quote that he says, it's something about you do what you do because of what you think of you.
Was that Craig?
Yes, Craig. That's him. That's the Power of Change.
That is so true.
You do what you do because of what you think of you. Mm-hmm. Boom.
We've been beaten down so much and told, that we're supposed to. What is the word they use? That he's called us to die. And they've used that so much that has really impacted the coaching. And we coach a lot of women. And I really, really struggle. I struggle when you get a broken woman sitting across from you who thinks she's not enough, who thinks that she is helpless, hopeless, and broken.
Yeah.
Our job, 80 hours a week, our job is to put broken women back together.
Yep.
And it really annoys me when we put, when we are told that we're not supposed to think of ourselves as it is true.
Because here's my last thing because we have coaching to do in like 10 minutes.
We do have coaching to do.
But when we are not replenishing our own cup and we constantly are filling up other people's because we want to be humble and we don't want to think about ourselves. There's a point where that cup can't be refilled.
Right.
So what are you pouring into others?
Yeah, you can.
Nothing but
you can't
emptiness.
Fill from an empty cup.
It's dust.
Yeah, you can't.
You're just putting dust in other people's cup.
Yeah.
So you need to have that time and you need to have that power to be able to be like, yeah, I am enough.
Yeah.
I do need to have self-care.
Yeah.
I do. And whatever that might look like for you. No, it's not.
It's not
It's taking care of you and taking care of your temple and taking care of your mind. Like all of those things need to be taken care of in order to be able to serve others the way that you may want to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Nope.
And so you are worth it and you're worth fighting for. Because if you are not here because your health is so, your health is so bad, if you're not here, it's your family who will pay for it, at the end of the day. And so we want you to start pouring some life into yourself. So that was our soapbox of the day. If we didn't have a show without a soapbox, although I've never seen the numbers drop so quickly.
That's hilarious.
I think it was a coincidence.
It had to have been a moment where their lunch break was over and
their lunch break was over. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though that's an early lunch.
I am part of the religious. I am part of that. I am part of it. And my Lord and Savior means Savior means more to me than life itself. But I just sometimes feel like we look at ourselves just a little bit off. I mean, what if God looked at us like that?
Yeah.
like we look at ourselves, sometimes.
Yeah.
That'll preach right there. But
lots of soapboxes today.
A lot of soapboxes. Hey,
although
guys,
we need to put back.
We got to put the soapbox back for the week because we recorded our podcast last week, so we are recording again this week.
I was going to say, we're not done.
We are. We got to catch up for summer shows.
Yes.
So, hey, if you haven't done so yet, follow us on your podcast streaming software.
Audible.
If you want to hear us when we are dropped, go to Spotify. Or YouTube. I think those are everything's normal but Apple. So go find us there. And Apple will eventually get our shows. It's just you won't get it till tonight. And everybody else has heard about the pantry clean out today.
Yeah.
So,
and
all right.
Apple, if you're listening, we still love you. We just need you to work better.
Yeah, we just need you to catch our shows when we drop them, okay?
They might be on vacation, so we got to give them some grace.
It might be spring break. It's been 3 weeks in a row. So, yeah. Or if you have any advice for us new podcasters on how to launch to Apple correctly, please help us. We desperately.
I thought you were going to have an advice bucket for us then. That would be
great.
Well, no, well, I don't know if we want that.
No.
We don't want people's advice.
No. All right, guys, we are here every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know what? We didn't even do a commercial today.
We didn't.
So we not do
so
that.
Much to say.
We did.
That's okay.
So we will see you next Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Take care, guys.